Channel 12, WSFA, Montgomery. From Alabama's News Center, this is WSFA News 12, the 6 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Bob Howell.
And I'm Lynn Sampson.
The capital murder trial of Quang Bui continues at the Montgomery County Courthouse tonight, with his wife taking the stand earlier today. Bui is a 35-year-old Vietnamese refugee accused of brutally murdering his 3 children here in Montgomery in February. Carrie Gordon reports.
During the second day of the trial, the jury listened to testimony from physicians, police officers, and Bui's wife, Jenny. 29-year-old Jenny Bui testified Bui is not the same loving man she met 10 years ago, saying after the birth of their first child, he became jealous and violent, hitting her and threatening the lives of their 3 children. Mrs. Bui testified at one point Bui pulled a machete on her while she was holding their youngest daughter, then 2 months old. Under cross-examination, Mrs. Bui admitted while recently visiting him in jail, Bui told her he was not crazy at the time he killed the children. Bui pleaded innocent to the murder charges by reason of insanity. Earlier in the day, a state medical examiner testified all 3 children bled to death due to severed jugular veins on the right sides of their necks. Police testified when they arrived at the scene, they found the children dead, lying in a blood-soaked bed with Bui lying beside them. Medical experts testified although Bui suffered from neck wounds, the injury was not life-threatening. Testimony continues tomorrow. Carrie Gordon, WSFA News 12, Montgomery.
A 39-year-old Montgomery man faces charges of sexual abuse and sodomy following his arrest early this morning at his Ellis Drive home. Police Department spokesman Lieutenant Larry Armstead says Otis Thornton had been under investigation for several weeks.
It had been brought to our attention that Mr. Ellis allegedly had sodomized and sexually abused a young female juvenile. Investigators started to work on and picked him up early this morning on those 2 charges, sodomy and sexual abuse first.
Authorities say bond for Thornton was set at $100,000. Police also say 2 other male suspects are being sought in the case. No word from police on what, if any, charges will be filed against the pair.
Well, on to the political news tonight. For the first time ever, the Board of Directors of the Association of County Commissions has endorsed a gubernatorial candidate, and that move has incensed some association members. Andrew Findlay of our staff has more on the announcement and reaction.
The County Commission Association's board voted to endorse Charles Graddick, saying it believes Graddick would better represent the interests of county governments. But the endorsement may also be a reprisal for Lieutenant Governor Bill Baxley's fight to keep county governments from getting a percentage of the interest from last year's oil lease windfall.
The association members are well aware that Mr. Baxley did not support us in this particular issue. And yes, it did have an impact.
The association's board of directors voted on the endorsement yesterday. 9 of the 14 members voted to endorse Graddick. The rest abstained. Meanwhile, Montgomery County Commissioner John Knight is incensed over the move, saying he and several county commissioners he's spoken with were never consulted about the endorsement. Further, Knight questions the association making endorsements at all, since it gets its membership money from county revenues.
Especially since the association is funded by taxpayers' money. Montgomery County pays dues to the Association of County Commissioners. If they don't withdraw their endorsement, I'm going to ask the Montgomery County Commission to withdraw its association with the Association of County Commissioners in this state.
Knight wants the Graddick endorsement retracted and says if it isn't, he'll ask the association leadership to step down. Andrew Findlay, WSFA News 12, Montgomery.
The first candidates debate between Bill Baxley and Charlie Graddick is now yielding a new round of allegations between the two. Brian Flood tells us more.
At a news conference yesterday in Huntsville, Graddick stepped up his verbal attack on Baxley, saying the lieutenant governor is owned by special interests and supports liberal policies.
He, on television last night, obviously said that he's for liberalized gambling in this state. He last night is not opposed to homosexuals being in our classroom and teaching our children.
Today in Montgomery, Baxley fired back, criticizing Graddick for his campaign tactics.
But if he continues the same type misleading and mudslinging ads that he's used in every election he's ever run, then I will do whatever it takes to to let people know the truth of the matter on it.
A review of Sunday night's debate reveals Baxley taking a muted stance against gays in the classroom, saying any misbehavior should be investigated and prosecuted, but also urging caution, claiming it is not state government's place to investigate an individual's private activities. Neither candidate took a position on what Graddick termed liberalized gambling. The only mention of gambling was Baxley's admittal. He traveled to Las Vegas in the mid-1970s and has not returned since. The promise of an issues-oriented campaign is quickly disintegrating. Both candidates blame the other for starting the mudslinging, and for the next 2 weeks it can only be expected to increase. Tracking polls obtained by WSFA News show the two candidates running neck and neck, and as the countdown to Election Day continues, the pressure increases to use whatever means necessary to win. Brian Flood, WSFA News 12, Montgomery.
The candidates for lieutenant governor will debate each other this Sunday night at 7 o'clock on Alabama Public Television. Jim Folsom Jr. announced today that he will debate his opponent, State Senator John Teague. Yesterday, Folsom challenged Teague to make public his academic records and income tax returns. Teague did not release that information, but Folsom said in a written statement today, quote, "I feel we owe it to the voters to make this an open and honest campaign. Therefore, I agree to debate Mr. Teague Sunday night." Teague responded by saying he'll be glad to discuss his own record as well as Mr. Folsom's on TV. Teague said there will be one winner in the debate, and that is the public. Troy State University Dothan is moving out of downtown Dothan to an as-yet undecided location. A spokesman for the university said the school is responding to a rapidly growing student enrollment, which shows no signs of slowing down. The school says it is the consensus of its board, faculty members, and community leaders that the school can best serve the area from another location other than the current 9-story building downtown. But there's no word on where the new campus will be located or when construction may begin.
We'll be back in a moment. Lynn will tell us about a special program to help the families of hearing-impaired children.
And 3 prisoners are on the loose at this hour. We'll have details coming up.
Well, as a co-worker and a viewer a lot of the times, I've been fascinated with a series on the hearing impaired and things being done for them.
That's right, a positive approach. There is a lot being done. Tonight we talk about a program funded by the Alabama Institute of the Deaf and Blind and housed at Auburn University, Montgomery. The program fills a vital need for children from birth to 5 years old. It's called the Parent-Infant Program, and here's how it works. Several times each month, a professional visits the home to work not only with the child, but also with the parents and other children in the family. The goal is to maximize the hearing-impaired child's potential, and that goal is met in 3 ways. First, they support the parent through the crisis of finding out their child is hearing impaired. Second, they help the family find resources, and finally, they teach parents skills they can use every day with their youngsters. To learn firsthand how the Parent-Infant Program works, we went with a therapist to the home of 2.5-year-old Stephen Joden. His parents have a lot to offer in terms of showing how a family can get involved and in giving advice to other parents.
Come home from the doctor and cry your heart out for 3 days, and then get up and say, you can't hear, nothing I can do about it, except put hearing aids on you and work your butt to the ground and push, because they're just not going to do it unless you push.
That's exactly what the Joden family did when their therapist, Diane Parrish, comes to visit. They start by checking Stephen's hearing aid batteries. Then it's off to work. In this session, Stephen's whole family helps him learn to listen and use speech.
Good. Listen. Whee! Whee! That's good. Good. Stephen was listening.
Come on, let's go make cookies. You want to make cookies? Come on.
Say sure, Mom.
Like Stephen, he didn't hear for almost 2 years. And so that you have to put it in, you know, so you can get it back out. And with Diane coming here helping us, it gives you a lot of ideas what to do around the house. Like open the cabinet. You just don't open the cabinet. You say open the cabinet so you can learn to open the cabinet. I see no reason that he can't do what anybody else does. And that just because he can't hear, he should say, I can't do this, or I won't try because I can't hear.
Just like any normal child.
We have dreams for him just like anybody else.
Just can't hear as well, that's all. He's just as smart. He's developed really well. And he does everything, you know, that normal kids would do, but just can't hear
talks
really
so well.
The Parent-Infant Program is a statewide program, and parent advisors are available in every county. Also, while most of the children involved in the program are hearing impaired, some are visually impaired, and they do handle multi-handicapped children if there is a vision or hearing loss.
That is a most inspirational story, and what a cute young man.
The whole family, they do everything just right. They pull together, they support that child, and I think it shows.
Well, I agree, it does. Thanks a lot. 3 prison escapees are still being sought tonight by state officials after 2 were reported missing from an Elmore County facility last night, and another inmate fled a Montgomery County jail facility. 32-year-old Terry Winslet was serving a 42-year term at Montgomery's Red Eagle Honor Farm when he escaped late Monday. Winslet was convicted of 11 crimes in 3 Alabama counties. Meanwhile, Robert Lee Harry is one of the inmates being sought after he was reported missing late last night from the Frank Lee Youth Center in Elmore County. He was serving a 17-year burglary sentence. Another inmate, Jerry Glenn Lee, is believed to have fled with Harry. Authorities say that Lee was serving a 5-year term for burglary from Talladega when he escaped. The internal investigation of a corrections department van involved in a fatal automobile accident last month has not been completed, and until it is, corrections spokesman John Hale says the department is not going to comment on the case. Wire Service reports said today that officials said they will not take any action against the driver of the van that killed 3 state inmates when it wrecked, but Hale says no further details will be made public until the probe is completed. A state trooper report shows the driver, Sylvester Nettles, was traveling at 60 miles an hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone when the crash occurred in Elmore County. Well, hundreds of future farmers of America gathered in Montgomery today for the opening of the 50th Alabama FFA Convention. Officials there say more than 250 incentive awards will be presented to members by state and national FFA foundations, and 711 members will receive state farmer degrees for occupational and leadership achievements. This year's theme, FFA, Leaders for New Fields of Agriculture. The convention continues through Thursday. Well, the Bostonians are busting their buttons. Mark Thornhill will tell you what that means, at least an explanation of Celtic pride, when we come back. Well, needless to say, Boston, who, it's not like they haven't done it before, but they're still celebrating seriously up there.
I want to hear you say Bostonians busting their buttons one more time real quick. All those B's.
I'm going to give you a hint. Lynn wrote that, okay?
Considering the fact that the Boston Celtics have now won 16 NBA championships, I think it's a safe bet to say that the city of Boston knows how to celebrate. You see, they've had plenty of practice. It was an ocean of green and white today as literally thousands and thousands of fans jammed the streets of downtown Boston for what has come to be known as Celtics Pride Day. And as the Celtics took turns at the microphone, it seems each and every utterance received roaring approval.
This is it. Make no mistake about it. A great regular season, a great playoffs, Sweet 16 championship. We are here and we love it and we enjoy it. Thank you.
Refuse to let us lose. Thank you very much.
Yeah, everybody, let's have a nice time this summer. A lot of beers, a lot of relaxation, and let's do it again.
Akeem Olajuwon never heard of Celtic tradition. I bet he had some sleepless nights in the past couple of days. This one's sweet this year, and the players and the organization would definitely like to thank the fans because we were just unbeatable at home. It's because of you all. Thank you very much.
Well, from the good to the not so good. Speaking of the NBA championship, there was some fallout today from Game 5 of that NBA championship series. Today, the NBA fined Houston forward Ralph Sampson $5,000 for his part in the bench-clearing brawl in that game. Sampson's penalty is part of $16,000 in fines announced by League Vice President of Operations Rod Thorne. Thorne also docked Boston guards Jerry Seasting and Dennis Johnson and Houston center Akeem Olajuwon $1,500 each. 13 other players, 7 Celtics and 6 Rockets, received $500 fines for leaving their benches during that melee. Well, Major League Baseball reached into the realm of academia today and selected the outgoing president of Yale University, A. Bartlett Giamatti, as the next president of the National League. Giamatti will assume his new job September the 1st upon the retirement of current league president Chub Feeney. At a New York press conference today, Giamatti showed a quick wit when asked why a classics professor would take a job in baseball.
People of letters have always gravitated to sport. Witness yourselves. I have been a lover of baseballs for as long as I can remember. I've even tried to write about it. I have always found it the most satisfying and nourishing game that I knew of outside of literature. And it seemed to me that as I was leaving the presidency of Yale, I was either going to go back to teaching or do something wholly different. And this, from my point of view, satisfies every impulse.
Officials of both the National Football League and the United States Football League have denied a report that the two leagues are working to settle the pro football antitrust lawsuit out of court. The USFL claims the NFL violated federal law by trying to put the younger league out of business, of course. The Orlando Sentinel reports that the NFL has offered to pay USFL teams $20 million each and offered franchises to 6 of the 8 USFL teams. An NFL spokesman says there is no such settlement offer on the table and no such offer is anticipated. Well, the march toward a World Cup soccer championship continued down in Mexico today. Argentina and Bulgaria in action here in Mexico City. 3 minutes into the match, Jorge Valdano comes up with this goal to put Bulgaria up 1-0. They went on to win the match, final of 2-0 to advance to next week's second round. Also today in World Cup action, Italy defeated South Korea by a score of 3-2. A couple of items of local interest. Racing great Red Farmer will be on hand out at the Montgomery International Raceway this weekend as part of the Miller American Racing Spectacular. Gates open at 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, qualifying at 6. Racing starts at 8. And the 33rd annual Blue-Gray Fast Pitch Softball Tournament is also set for this weekend. 25 teams from 6 states will be on hand out at Lagoon Park vying for that Blue-Gray championship. The field includes 6 local teams. The action gets underway this Friday night at 7:30 at Lagoon Park. The tournament will conclude with the championship Sunday afternoon. By the way, Bob, tonight at 9:35 our time, the Atlanta Braves, the guys who threw it overhand, well, they'll play the San Francisco Giants, and we'll have an update on that game tonight.
You know, we've got such a wonderful softball facility here.
It's marvelous. I've heard people all over the state bragging about it. Great.
And sometimes I think we forget about it, but folks who come into town think it's fantastic.
Exactly.
Good enough. But what about weather for softball?
Well, the promise of rainfall became an afternoon reality in our area. Rich Thomas has weather next. Stay with us. I don't know about you, Rich, but raindrops fell on this head this afternoon.
Oh, right before the lunch hour, I was caught in a gully washer. You couldn't even see. You had to pull the car over. That's how heavy the rain was. Perhaps you were caught in a heavy rainstorm today because they were all over the place, as we'll see in a moment. Right now out at Danley Field at 6 o'clock, skies are cloudy. The temperature is 78. Humidity, as you might guess, is high at 85%. Winds are west at 9. The dew point temperature is 73. Barometer steady. Out at Danley Field, 78/100ths of an inch of rain today. Some parts of the city could have gotten a lot more than that. Look now at the National Radar Summary at late afternoon. Look at all the showers and thunderstorms over the southeast. Most of these the result of afternoon heating. It starts out dry over most of the southeast, and as the day goes on, the heat builds, the convection starts to lift into the air, and they condense into clouds. You have showers and thunderstorms, and some of the heaviest storms, though, have been out of over the southern plains where they're becoming violent, but these are just the afternoon variety in the southeast. Satellite view shows the puffy white clouds. It kind of look like popcorn in some places around the southeast at late afternoon. In fact, as we enhance this photograph, you can see some of the bigger storms, especially over portions of Georgia and Florida. Down in Manatee County, Florida, they had a lot of lightning injuries today. 7 injuries, 1 death. It's a good time to remind you about summertime lightning. Now, the thunderstorms don't have to be severe for you to have the lightning potential, the potential of injury. Any thunderstorm can potentially injure you with lightning, so take it easy. Don't run to the dash to the car. Just stay under shelter during a thunderstorm. A look now at the national weather situation today, showing high pressure still over our area. The atmosphere is warm and unstable, and little disturbances in the upper atmosphere have been triggering the thunderstorm activity each afternoon. Tomorrow's weather map shows no big change, except one front does edge a little closer. We're going to continue with scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms here for the next couple of days. On radar, let's take you back to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's what the radar showed. Showers and thunderstorms all over the place. Find out where you live on this map and watch now as we take you through the afternoon. Showers shift on to the northeast very slowly, and now we take you to the current picture from Centerville, Alabama, because the rain has just about ended in southeast Alabama. So let's look at the central counties. Here's Montgomery. Here's the radar site at Centerville. Heavy showers and thunderstorms to the north of Alex City now. A cluster of thunderstorms around Monroe County as well. There's also a shower which is now just to the east of Union Springs. And you can see some other thunderstorms in Mississippi. All of this moving very slowly to the northeast. Temperatures at this hour ranging now from 73, the cool spot in Birmingham, to 87, the warm spot, and that's in Enterprise. Today's high in Montgomery, by the way, got up to 86 degrees. This morning's low, 74. For the day, we were 2 degrees above normal. There's sunrise and sunset time for tomorrow. And the forecast for tonight and tomorrow night, scattered evening thunderstorms, then partly cloudy late night, lows around 73. And then for tomorrow and Wednesday, look for warm and humid conditions, a 30% chance, I should say Wednesday and Thursday, 30% chance of mainly afternoon thunderstorms with highs around 92. So tomorrow it starts all over again, Lynn.
So even with the rain, we were above normal.
Yes, we were.
Ooh.
Remind me to tell you something at the end of the show about today's rain.
I will.
Good, remind me. We'll be back with more news, but first let's take a look at the stocks. Well, there's some really encouraging news tonight for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Latest figures on ticket sales show the festival's 1986 audience pushed past the 100,000 mark. That represents a 400% increase over last year. And needless to say, the most dramatic audience increase in the history of the American theater. Patrons from 20 states and 4 foreign countries are included on the list of 100,000. The theater is moving now into summer season. And by the way, there are more tickets available, and it is worth a visit if you haven't been out.
10 4th, 5th, and 6th graders are stepping back into Montgomery's past this week. It's all part of History Hurrah, a 19th century day camp sponsored by the Landmarks Foundation. The youngsters are delving into history to learn how their forefathers lived in Alabama more than 100 years ago. Each child wears traditional clothing in the first of 2 week-long camps, which are already filled to capacity. Today, the campers practiced the art of storytelling and learned how to cross-stitch.
But if you stick with it, you'll produce a thing of beauty. In the very early days of our country, when people first came into this part of the countryside was beautiful, but there wasn't a lot of man-made beauty in their life. They couldn't bring very much with them.
Later in the week, the children will watch a horse being shod and will cook a meal over an open fire.
And Lynn was telling us what you call a person who shods or shoes horses.
A farrier,
right? Yes. And what I was going to tell you, one of those little temperature things on the car that gives the outside temperature, coming into the thunderstorm today, or the shower, whatever you want to call it, from about 5 or 6 miles out, the temperature dropped 18 degrees from one point till we got inside the shower.
Thunderstorm downdrafts, the cooler air from aloft coming out of
That's why I was walking around in a sweater in the newsroom.
No? Well, okay, yes. We'll be back tonight at 10 o'clock. Hope you'll make your plans to join us. Entertainment Tonight is coming up next.